Have you ever wondered what it would be like to explore the remote western deserts and mountains of Arizona? Well, it's been an area I've been looking forward to exploring and checking out for a long time. And on this trip, I was fortunate enough to once again join up with the Centerforce Overland Adventure Run in this incredible landscape. But this region has just experienced more rainfall than it has in decades. And we find ourselves on the trail in situations none of us have ever experienced before. During this trip, we'll check out a bit of history, get after it a bit on some technical trails, and enjoy some incredible camping spots. But our trip was not without some challenges along the way. Sit back, relax, and join me on this unforgettable adventure. So I just drove 6 hours to get to this dirt road to find a set of GPS coordinates out here in the middle of the desert in Arizona to meet up with some great people to go have an adventure over the next few days, which the details are a little vague about what we're going to be doing and where we're going to be going. But I know this is going to be an awesome time. I gotta get there first. Welcome to Trail Recon, I'm Brad, and yes, I've already taken one wrong turn on this trail already to go find the guys from Centerforce for the 2023 Adventure Run. I did this run with these guys a couple years back and just had a blast, and I'm excited to be out here in Arizona. We are in the Cofa Wilderness area, which has been a place I've been wanting to come out to, and so this is just a great excuse to come out here and explore. Now, they don't provide the details of where we're going and what we're gonna see along the way, but I do know that there are some amazing trails out here and there's a whole lot of history. And I brought the JK and I just put the 6-inch lift on it. So for the very first time, this is going to be its big maiden voyage. We're gonna test it out, see how he does. I'm stoked, guys. This is gonna be a great couple days. Now, the wind's outside right now, about 25, 30 miles an hour. There's a little bit of a sprinkle going on. So the weather's gonna be interesting. Spirits are high. We're gonna have a great time. The Cofa Wilderness Area is one of Arizona's most stunning and unique wilderness areas. Located just south of the city of Quartzsite, this area spans over 500,000 acres of pristine desert landscape. But it's not just the size that makes this area so special. It's also steeped in history, teeming with geological wonders and fascinating plant life. The Cofa Mountains, which rise up from the desert floor, were formed around 22 million years ago during a period of intense volcanic activity. These mountains are home to a number of interesting rock formations which create a striking contrast against the vibrant red and browns of the surrounding desert. As for plant life, the Cofa Wilderness is home to a variety of species that have adapted to the harsh desert environment. This place is truly special and full of natural beauty and unique geological formations. I'm excited to be out here and get to experience it for myself. For about the last 8 miles, I've been on a pretty much gravel pole line road, just kind of weaving my way in through the desert with the mountains off in the background and these massive saguaro cactus. Now I just turned off onto Cofa Cabin Road, and it shouldn't be too much further. There's a cabin down here where the GPS coordinates are almost right next to. So I think we're camping right next to a cabin tonight. So hopefully here soon, I should start to see some guys and some other vehicles. Fingers crossed. Well, it looks like I made it. There's a stone cabin up ahead with some really cool off-road vehicles surrounding it. So I imagine this is where camp is going to be tonight. Hopefully this wind dies down. Yeah, this is going to be the start of a really cool adventure, guys. This year's Centerforce Adventure Convoy will have about 15 vehicles from new to old. And I've known many of these guys for years, but several I'm meeting for the very first time. These adventures are always incredible experiences, but reconnecting with old friends and making new ones makes trips like this even more special. A few folks will be arriving throughout the evening, and the rest will be joining us in the morning before we head out. And because it was such a long haul for me to get here from San Diego, camping the first night out here just worked out best for me. I just hope this wind dies down a little bit. We camped in a large flat area around the Kofa cabin, which was built back in the 1930s. This is a solid cabin, and you are allowed to camp inside, which a few in our group opted to do later in the evening with the rain and the wind. It's a well-preserved cabin, and if you visit this, please always leave it better than you found it. After catching up with everyone, we all began setting up our camps. You'll see throughout this trip that there are not only a variety of vehicles, but also a variety of ways that people are camping. These days when I take the JK, I just find that a ground tent keeps things simple and lightweight, but there is no right or wrong way to camp, just whatever works best for your situation and your comfort level. It wasn't long after everybody's camp was set up that the sun began to set, and all our eyes were fixed off into the distance at some very ominous clouds that seemed to be closing in on us. It's been so great catching up with folks I haven't seen in years, meeting some new people, and not everybody is here yet. There's still some folks that are coming in tomorrow, but what they wanted to do was just allow a gathering opportunity for anybody that wanted to come in tonight, because the actual event, the adventure, starts tomorrow, which I'm really looking forward to. It is a little chilly out here and the wind is still blowing pretty hard. Thankfully, I've prepared. I got all the warm clothes. I've even got my rain jacket on standby because there is some rain off in the distance, but hopefully this will just die down tonight and we'll have a nice peaceful night. Now, because it is so windy, I think I'm gonna forego cooking any dinner. I'm probably just gonna have something simple. So I'm gonna go hang out with everybody and we'll see you guys in the morning over a cup of coffee, and then this adventure is really gonna begin. So while I didn't cook this evening, there were still others decided to whip up a nice hot meal. It's always nice to walk around and soak in the savory smells of dinner and see folks' kitchen setups. It was a good evening, and we were all filled with excitement for the days to come. Good morning. What a beautiful morning, and what a stark contrast to last night. Last night that wind kicked up at least until midnight, and then when it finally died down, the heavens unleashed and the rain came down really hard. It kept us all awake for a little while, and my tent is still pretty wet, so I needed to let that thing dry out before we pack up. We've had a couple other folks arrive, so the group got a little bit bigger this morning. There's a driver's meeting at 8, and then finally we're gonna hit the trail, and I can't wait to see where we end up. If it's another place like this, it's gonna be a good time. Our driver's meeting was scheduled for 8 o'clock, so everybody began packing up and doing their last minute checks, and then it was time to find out what we had in store for today.
Welcome to the 3rd annual Center Force Adventure Run. Thanks you guys all for coming. I am so proud of all of you guys. We didn't have to go chase anybody down in the middle of the night, you know, trying to find their way into camp and everything. Everybody just got here, which is awesome. So we are in the Kofa National Wildlife Refuge. Kofa sounds like some fancy Indian name, when in fact it's actually short for the King of Arizona Mine, which was a great big mine that's right in the middle of the wildlife refuge. It's still on private property, but it's a prominent mine in the area, and the wildlife refuge, I think, was established in the 80s, I believe. If it's not the largest, it's the 2nd largest wildlife refuge.
Trent McGee is leading this adventure, and I've been on numerous trail runs led by him over the years, and he has more experience than anyone I know when it comes to leading big adventures like this. And he always seems to keep things a bit of a secret about what's to come. He did let us know that we'd be putting in a lot of miles today and pretty much be doing a massive loop around the Kofa Wilderness area and stopping at least one historic site along this route. After the driver's meeting, there was no time to waste. Time for everyone to mount up. All right, we are Oscar Mike. We are on the move. This is gonna be a great group to go wheeling with. And Trent said at the driver's meeting, we're gonna get after it a little bit. There's gonna be some obstacles, which is exactly what I wanna do. I wanna test out this JK Gay, flex it out, and then I wanna watch some of these other vehicles as well. We're gonna have a good time today. It's gonna be a long day on the trail, but it should be a lot of fun. We begin by making our way to the southwest, and when we have finished today before going and finding camp, we will have made a 66-mile loop within the wilderness area. We're putting it down hard today, guys. But that doesn't even scratch the surface for this region. There are dozens of trails out here, and you could spend days exploring the history, the geology, and just checking out the scenery. I was actually hoping to check out Skull Rock, which I have heard so much about, but our route just can't include that and still be able to accomplish our time and distance. So I already have an excuse to come back here. Vern Simons is a wealth of knowledge when it comes to geology, and not only does he have one of the coolest Jeeps out here, but he entertained us with some great knowledge.
Interesting things about this area is these big flats where a lot of people like to camp. Those are all covered in what's called desert pavement, which is basically the gravel kind of interlocks and forms kind of like a puzzle. It acts as a way to prevent erosion. You can see tire tracks on it from hundreds of years ago, and cow paths, and maybe even native people's paths across it.
I always enjoy learning as much as I can about the areas I'm exploring. There's usually something very unique about each place. It just adds a whole depth to the experience. The terrain this far has been very mild, but we're going to put down some more miles to get to the good stuff. Well, my first impressions of the Kofor Wilderness area are pretty positive. I love it. It's gorgeous out here, and we're right inside now these mountains, and there has been a lot of rain out here. Of course, we got rain on last night, but just over the last month, there's been a ton of rain, and everything is so green and lush, just not what you expect of the Arizona desert. Now, there's a lot of wildlife out here. They've got bobcat, and cougar, and coyote, but the one thing that I'm keeping my eye out for is some bighorn sheep. They're well known for this area. In fact, that's why this is designated a wilderness area. I don't know if we'll see them because all these vehicles may scare them off, but man, I would love to spot one. I have never seen one out in the wild, so that would be pretty cool. All right, we are about 2.5 hours in, and I am really enjoying this trail. It's got some fun little winding through the mountains and ups and downs, and a couple little moderate rocks to crawl over. But Trent mentioned that just up ahead, there's a pretty good little section where we're gonna get after it a little bit and then end up at a cabin. And I don't know if I talked about it at the beginning of the video, but Kofa is 4.5 hours from where I live, and this has been a place I've been wanting to come to for a long time. And now that I'm here and I'm seeing this beauty and I'm enjoying this trail, I'm wondering what has taken me so long to get out here. there's a lot of tracks out here, and we're only going to scratch the surface over the next couple days. So I already am thinking this is a place I'm gonna need to come back to. But right now, let's see what this obstacle up ahead is. I'm excited about that. While the terrain did change, it became a little more rocky and there were a few small ledge climbs. It wasn't exactly the big challenge I had hoped for, but no worries. Before this trip is over, we'll all get to put our vehicles to work on some much harder stuff.
20-30 minutes. If you guys want to make yourself a quick sandwich, you can do that. We're going to check out the cabin here for a little bit and, continue on. So.
A short while down the trail, we made our way to the Wilbanks cabin, our lunch stop. This was built in 1931. The original cabin burned down with all of the owner's belongings, but they were able to rebuild it again. This is another well-preserved cabin, just like the Kofa cabin. You are welcome to camp here, but please leave it better than you found it. I imagine the family that lived here back in 1930s never imagined a convoy of off-roaders would be in their front yard having a lunch stop, but here we are. Living out here in this remote location must have had some really incredible challenges. The cold weather in the winter, the blistering hot Arizona summer, working and living off the land. I find myself feeling a little soft driving around in this plush Jeep with heat and comfortable seats. It really makes you appreciate the comforts we have today when you see how people used to live. We enjoyed our lunch and stretching our legs for a little bit, but Trent was sure to keep us on schedule, so we were soon back on the trail. That cabin was really nice, and I'm surprised at how well preserved and maintained these cabins are out here. Last night we saw some folks come to the other cabin, the Kofa cabin, and they were volunteers, and so I know there's a lot of people out here that are trying to keep these things in great condition. So if you come out here, please leave it better than you found it. These cabins are historical landmarks, and what a great place to come and explore, see some history. Now we are back on the trail, and we're on this kind of rocky wash. It's pretty bumpy. We hit a couple obstacles, but nothing crazy. I'm still waiting to put it into 4 low and get after it and have a little fun, although this is not a rock crawling mission. This is more just adventure and having a good time and camping, but hopefully we'll find some fun, challenging sections. I'm looking forward to that. But so far, great day, great people, and I'm already trying to figure out when I can come back to Kofa, because this place is awesome. So it's mid-afternoon and we're about 40 miles in, and I mentioned at the start of the video that the Jeep Wrangler is now on 6 inches of lift. And this Jeep over the last 8 years has gone through such an evolution, and never did I think that I would be on 6 inches of lift. But in order to run these 39s, we tried a lot of different things and just couldn't make it work. The goal was to put big tires and run it low, and without running spacers and still rubbing, we just needed to go to the taller springs. And so this is the first big trip with these 6-inch springs, and I'm very happy with how it's performing. We've gone over some washboard roads, we've gone through some ruts, I flexed it out quite a bit already today, and I'm pretty happy with it. Not a hint of rubbing anywhere that I can tell, and the comfort is perfect. It's great. In fact, I don't know I don't know that the JK's ever felt this good before, so I think this might be the perfect combination. And maybe, dare I say, maybe I'm done for a while. I mean, 39s and 6 inches of lift, I really don't need any more than that. Not on this beast, but I'm happy with it. I'm excited to continue to test it out the next couple days and see what we get into. Did I mention I really like Kofa? Cool out here, guys. All right, we've picked up the pace here for about the last half hour, just on this nice wide open 2-track with views all the way around. It's gorgeous out here. There are campsites all over the place. I've been marking a ton of them. We are actually going to head on pavement and go get some fuel, although I'm pretty good on fuel. I'm still over half a tank. But we are actually gonna leave Kofa, from my understanding, and head off into some BLM area and look for camp. So we did just about 60-mile loop in Kofa, and that, I mean, there's so many trails out here. I can imagine that you could spend several days out here in this area. So I'm not sure where we're going next, but I'm looking forward to it, especially if it's as cool as this has been. All right, we just stopped for a little break just to kind of stretch our legs. We've been on the trail for a while, and we pulled up next to this windmill, which is pulling water out of the ground. And fun little fact is the water table in Arizona, in the desert here, is pretty low. It's about 20 to 40 feet down. But the rule is there are water wells for animals like this out here, and you are not allowed to camp within a quarter mile of them. So just keep that in mind if you're coming out here. It was finally time to start making our way out of the Kofa Wilderness area. This was a great introduction to this incredible region, and while I would like to explore more out here today, I know I will be coming back again sometime soon. I just need to do it before summer hits and it gets too hot out here. We made our way to the gas station, and everyone was required to top off all their tanks because over the next 2 days, we'll put down even more miles on the dirt, and we're gonna need every ounce of fuel. On the way to the gas station, one of the Toyotas in our group was having a charging issue. It seems to be a bad alternator, so they grabbed the jumper cables and Vern topped off his battery, which should be enough to get him to camp tonight. And tomorrow they can further diagnose the problem and see if they need to get parts. No worries. We made our way several miles north, and we were soon back on the dirt and in search for camp for the night. This is a BLM area, and there are camping spots sprinkled all around the base of these mountains. It's gorgeous out here. But Tret has one spot in particular that should be large enough to accommodate this size of a group. All right, we made it to camp, and this is a beautiful spot, nice and big and flat with incredible views. You can see for miles and miles and just layers and layers of desert mountains out there. Just a gorgeous location, and wow, what a contrast to the weather. It's beautiful tonight, so it should be perfect. There's a little bit of gravel on the ground, so we're gonna have to do some grooming so I don't pop my air mattress. But we're gonna set up, walk around, check everybody's campsites out, and then cook some dinner, hang out, and just have a very good time. It's been a great day. What I like most about my camping setup in the Jeep Wrangler JK is that it's fast to set up and break down and it's lightweight. So I was set up in no time and took a stroll around camp to see what other gear folks were using to camp with. There were a variety of ground tents in our group, a couple other shift pods like mine, some large tents, some small ones. I think this cot tent is a really great setup for a single person. I may have to give this a try. There were an equal amount of rooftop tents in this group, and it seems that most of these folks prefer the hard shell style rooftop tent, which is actually what I prefer. I did walk around and peek my nose in the back of some of the vehicles because I also wanted to see how everyone was storing their gear. There are so many ways to do it, and I always find something unique or creative that someone has done that I can take away and solve a problem that maybe I'm having. That's the great thing about being out with a large group like this. There's just so much to see. Now tonight I'm actually cooking, but nothing fancy. I bought some pre-marinated carne asada, and man, does this stuff smell good. I made way too much, so I had plenty to share. Today was an incredible day on the trail with new and old friends, and I now have a newfound interest in exploring the Kofa Wilderness area. We enjoyed some good laughs around the campfire, stayed up way too late, and were totally unaware of just how different things were going to change over the next 2 days when we enter the Bradshaw Mountains. In part 2 of this adventure, everything turns wet and muddy. We navigate miles of flooded trails, encounter plenty of deep mud holes that will challenge many of us, and we have to work through some recoveries and mechanical challenges. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next part of this adventure, and be sure to visit us over at trailrecon.com. Thanks for watching.